What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the Superdorf Show. My name's Thomas.
And I am Garrett Hartle. Glad to be back with you guys. How you guys doing out there?
Well, first things first, we're doing pretty good because Ship Your Reptiles is taking care of us. Guys, this week's Superdorf Show is brought to you by Ship Your Reptiles, the only people we trust to ship our snakes across the country, straight to your porches. They do a great job. Their customer service is impeccable. They help people from industry professionals, the biggest breeders, down to the smallest breeders, so they have they know and have experience of what it takes to get your animal safely shipped.
It's scary to ship reptiles. Even after all these years, I'm still like, oh man, babies in boxes, if it's like a really small baby or, a challenging thing. And so the guys that ship your reptiles, like Thomas said, they definitely do take care of us. And it's really nice because, for me, I've developed a relationship with the staff over there over the years. They know my concerns. They know me. And so really it's almost like we have a good group of friends over there, and there's nothing like having a friend handle, the shipping of your snake from one area to the next to put you at ease. But yeah, it's been fun. It's been a crazy week. So if you guys if you guys tuned in for the last live, you know that last Friday was Rob's last week. So with the 4th of July being yesterday, happy 4th everyone, by the way, being a holiday. We got a lot of stuff to do around here. I've been running around like a chicken with my head cut off. How about you?
My head's currently cut off. I'm trying to make sure this mic works. Let me know if you guys can hear me or not.
I'm going to eat my dinner in front of you guys on the live. Is that cool? Are we like, casual enough to
We're
to
not
do this?
too cool to admit we're here.
This will be my only dinner
up.
break today. Boy, it's been
All right.
go.
Hold on. You're now muted. Guys, let me know in the chat if this sounds good. Freddie's way low. Sounds like Mike's up. So, guys, the mic is like 100% on. I get levels and readings and stuff through there. What's up? Why are you pointing at me? No, it's not that. They were having issues last week. There we go. They say we can hear me. No, it wasn't muted. There's just there's a lot of audio things that happen between me and you guys. So sometimes there's little snafus that happen. All right, Garrett, you're now muted.
I think that's what it is that I'm eating right now. Snafu. Pretty sure that's what this dish is called. We eat like almost nothing but deli stuff around here these days. That's why we're good friends with the folks over at Sprinkles, the local. Oh, you meal prepped?
Dude, I meal prepped for 4 days, like lunch, dinner, breakfast. That was a weird order, but breakfast, lunch, and dinner. I cooked for like 3 hours on Sunday, and I have food for the week, and it's good. Like, you got some sweet potatoes and chicken and beans and stuff. Like, you guys may think of me as like a young bachelor, and I still am a young bachelor, but I'm a young bachelor who can cook.
And I'm the old married guy eating snafus, so what does that tell you? I don't know. All right. Well, Thomas, we have a pretty fun giveaway, but it's for our Patreon and the after party. You want to tell us about that one?
Yeah, dude. We're giving away $250 of store credit to Reach Your Reptiles. So you can use that to buy
$250.
Use that to buy 4 and some change hoodies if you wanted, or you can get $250 off your next Superdorf or Dorf purchase, which would be awesome. We're giving that away at our after party immediately after this Superdorf show. Must be present to win, so you have to stay to the end when we give it. You don't have to be there the whole time. You just have to be there at the end. So make sure to stay tuned.
You have to be there when Thomas makes the little randomizer wheel. That's pretty good odds. We usually have, a couple dozen people in there maybe?
Yeah.
So,
I mean, we go from like 25 to 35. So.
And you can join Patreon for $5 at the link in the description. Jump into the after party. We'll see you there. Maybe you'll win $250. And if you do, you can bring it with you to Retic Fest because all the patrons are invited to come here, Retic Fest, on the 22nd of this month. That's
Pretty
another
excited.
reason I've been running around like a chicken with my head cut off. Ashley, too.
Mm-hmm.
We were here all day yesterday getting stuff ready. It's going to be quite the party. I did get to teach my youngest son, Finley, how to ride his bicycle.
That's got to be a cool dad
That
moment.
was pretty fun. Yeah, it was like push him down the hill, painting over here. Good job, buddy. Oh, yeah, you are bleeding. Hold on, let me get that. But that's kind of the way we roll around here.
Oh.
So he would ride a few times till he was all hot and sweaty and then come help me with the painting, and then we would ride some more, and I'd chase him on the bike. It was good times, actually. It was a great 4th of July.
I'm looking forward to the day I can do that.
Yeah.
But
you can borrow Finley anytime you want, just so you know.
It'll be like those. Do you ever see the girls in high school who do like I forget what class it was. It was like home ec, but it was like take a baby home, and it will like
We didn't have that school in
simulation baby. It would like pee and wake up in the middle of the night, and like you'd have to change his diaper, and you get graded based
I
on
totally
how well
thought you were
did.
talking about real babies for a minute there. I was like, we didn't have too many girls doing that when I was in high school, but I mean, there
How
was always
times
a
have
few.
changed.
All right,
Well-
maybe we should talk about what the people want to hear, which if you're clicking in, it's talking about how to handle or connect with your snake that might be a little bit more nervous around you. Thomas, do you like snakes when they're nervous around you?
No, that's my least favorite part of snakes in general.
What's I think I know the answer, but what is, when you're going to go interact with a snake, what is the most like scary time for you? You know?
Like I'll hold any snake from newborn to karma, like on my own, and be fine. But the issue comes when you're trying to connect with it and let it know that you're not food or a threat.
So like right when you first see it, or right when
Yeah.
you go to get it out of the
Opening a
cage.
tub, opening an enclosure.
So regardless of the size of the snake, if you have to go in and get it, that's where you're having a lot of the problem. And that to be fair, that's what I hear from a lot of other people too. They're like, oh no, it's fine once you get it out. But the snake's been really defensive when it's in its cage, or just really nervous around me in general. How do I help it do that? So we have a couple of scenarios here. How do we want to get into this? Do we want to go ahead and get started?
Just do it. We got a whole fancy thing
Let's
going on
jump
here.
in, and then we'll go into the end here. So we're going to take you around the studio here a little bit. We'll turn the camera. We have our playground out. I got a couple of snakes in here. We'll see what they do. I mean, this is obviously a live stream. There's only so much I can control about what an animal will do, but hopefully they will show you guys what we're talking about a little bit here. So let's bring them around. Bear with us. Woohoo! Hey, girly. All right, check it out, guys. So what we have here is, I don't know, can you see her up there, Thomas? You can see a little bit of her. We have an 81.25% calato, I think that's right. Anery, what we're calling Krispy Kreme. We don't even totally know what it is yet, but she is a looker. Now, when we're talking about, building a relationship with your snake, right? Or trying to get in there to where the snake can trust you and you don't have to worry too much about what the animal's going to do, because you can understand the animal and the animal can understand you. That's going to have to do with a consistency of interaction, and you have to realize like what motivates the animals too. With dwarf and super dwarf reticulated pythons in particular, food is like everything for them. So you should look at every meal, every food interaction as an opportunity to interact with your snake. Now I have here as a thawed out Reptilink. It's like a little sausage meal. She's not really used to these, but she's a well-established animal. We'll see if she's interested in taking this and see if I can show you a little bit what I mean. So the first thing you'll notice, this meal is a little bit on the small side for what I would actually feed this snake if it was just kind of standard feeding day. But every opportunity that I have to feed the animal is an opportunity for that animal to understand and be motivated with me a little bit better. Hey, Curly, come here. Check this out. You want to see that? Can you see us over here, Thomas?
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if she's out on the playground. She may be more interested in exploring than taking this weird Reptilink. Hi. So as I'm feeding her, look at her. She's definitely checking it out. As we're, teasing her and stuff, I can kind of just interact with her here a little bit. You want to check it? Come on. Come on. You can do it. She's like, I don't know if I want this Reptilink. Whoa! She's like, that Reptilink was too aggressive. I tried to wiggle it a little bit, make it more enticing. Hey girl, come here, try again. Even if she doesn't eat this meal for me, I mean, the interaction and the enticement with this food, I think, is a good opportunity just for her and I to get some FaceTime. One thing you should notice is that I'm using a long forceps so that I'm removing the heat signature of my hand from this food item, which this Reptilink isn't heated up either. I could hit more, dial in on more of her senses if this was nice and hot. But you can see, come here. You can see her interest level in here, and just relaying like that interesting activities are taking place when she comes out to play, I think is a good thing. Come here, you want to try it again? I won't shake you up so much. It's funny, she's, like I said, I don't know that she often eats these Reptilinks, so she doesn't maybe necessarily even recognize it as a meal, but you can see that interest level. And so one of the things I can do, if you saw earlier, is I can kind of bring her out, or I could coax her out of the cage, and I can get her to relate me with a positive opportunity, a positive interaction. And if that's food and stuff, that's great. One of the things we do here at Reach Out Reptiles is called hook training or tap training, where if I'm going to interact with her and not give her food, I'll use a snake hook and pet her on the head first so she knows it's not time to eat. Target training is kind of an even, I think, a better version of that. Come here, baby. Where you're actually asking the snake to do something for you, and they've proven themselves intelligent enough to be able to do that before you give them that meal. And so you can actually begin building a relationship around food. So if you have an animal that's just super nervous around you, I don't know that I would hold and feed them like this, or she may be liable to, if this snake was like striking at this with a food interest, but then using its heat pits to guide, she's gonna land on me instead. She's just running too far away over here exploring. So let me see if I can get her back over here on this side, and then we'll let her explore afterwards if she doesn't want to. But yeah, I mean, the fact that I'm here, I'm interacting with her, she's interested, and she sees this food going, is going to be a good sign. And if I do use slightly smaller food items, that means I can have 2 or 3 in one session. And typically after they take their first one, they're even more interested in subsequent offerings. So they take that first small meal, then that's one interaction. It's positive, and they're just excited because they got some food. The second meal, they might be even more interested in because now they have kind of had an appetizer and they've got that going. I'm going to go ahead and set this down for her up here, see if she can discover it. They've got that one going, and they'll probably be willing in that second or even third item to go even further and see. I have another Reptilink. We'll see if she wants this one more. Hey, they love the tiny little crack in between our playground and the wall. They love to get stuck there. Crazy snakes. They're just not super interested in the smell of that. We'll have to scent those and feed it to her afterwards. We'll leave them here for you in case you want to discover those on your own. So yeah, food is kind of a motivator for everything that reticulated pythons do. When you go into their cage, Thomas, I think part of what you were talking about that might make you nervous is not knowing if that snake is going to view you as food or not. And if they're coming out, in like a food strike or food aggressive moment because they're expecting food and you're offering your hand and giving them a confusing situation, that's where you as a keeper could have an accidental bite or something like that. Usually you just have to chill and they'll be like, oh, that wasn't what I meant to get. But that's not necessarily a positive experience. So make sure you use the forceps. I would heat the meal up and go through all those motions if you have a nervous animal that you're really trying to work well with. So here, Thomas, do we have some hand sanitizer somewhere? I've got Reptilink juice all over me. So that's going to be the first thing, is just using food as a motivator, coming in there and having them, thank you, sir. Look at that service. Okay. That's good. Equating that in yourself so that they're motivated to come out and see what it is. They're like, even if they hate you, they're like, well, it might be that guy that I hate, or it could be food. And so they'll be willing to give you a chance, give that interaction a chance. And as long as you can create familiarity by building up a number of those positive experiences, you're well on your way to winning over that animal's trust. So the next thing about it is going to be trying to present yourself in a way that they can understand. So a lot of times as keepers, we look for animals that fit our lifestyle, right? Like if I'm looking at what dog breed do I want, it's like, well, if I love going outside and hiking all the time, then I need a really active dog. Or if I have a small apartment, maybe I need more of like a lap dog that doesn't need as much exercise. And picking an animal that best fits your life. But when you have any kind of exotic animal or really any animal in general, you're definitely going to need to do a certain amount of bending over backwards or you changing up your routine so that you can meet their needs a little bit better. Let me show you with this next animal exactly what I'm talking about. Hey kid, you can stay out, but you got to come over here. Yeah, come explore this area. Go find your Reptilinks. All right, so this would be an example of an animal that's a little bit more nervous. You may have to lift the camera up for this one. Shoot, Thomas, you may have to lift me up for this one. I'm a little too short for this. So understanding a little bit about what makes an animal like that predator-prey drive and how they communicate, the way an animal sees its world or what makes an animal tick is going to go a long way if you can understand that. So we have an animal like this here. I should grab a hook. Boy, I'm not doing a very good job. I have my feeding tongs. I don't want to use those. What do we have? No, we don't need like a hook. Just give me an object. That's probably overkill. Look at that. Holy smokes. We can use that. So the idea between using a snake hook, I think a lot of times people look at those. There may be one on top of the baby rack over there. Nah, that's good. This will actually work. A lot of times people see a snake hook and it looks like something the Grim Reaper would have, you know what I mean? And they're like, oh, I don't want to use that. That looks terrible. But it's not a weapon for fighting snakes or something like people may imagine. What it really is an extension of your body that doesn't have that warm-blooded heat signature like your hand does. And so this does two things. One, if the animal is in predator mode or it's looking for food, it's not going to react to the heat signature of that hook. And secondly, if it's in prey mode where it's like terrified of you and you're coming at it, you know, and you use this extension of your body, then it's going to feel like you're giving it a little bit more space, even though you're able to like touch it and interact it. So if I was tap training or hook training an animal, people always think you're like tap, like whack it on the head or something like that. Snap out of it. That's not what you're doing. We usually just pet them on the head and push their head away and move a different part of their body to remove them from the cage. But starting with that, and if your animal's really nervous, just use that to interact. You can be further out, and then as the animal gains trust, you can go further and further up that hook until you're actually hands-on interacting with that animal. But let's take a look at her body language and see how she's feeling right now. This is actually she's just huddled up. She thinks she's camouflaging with our little mahogany wood over here. Can you see her there, Thomas? So what I want to do is go ahead and just wake her up a little bit, let her know that I'm here. Hi. And we can use this to pet her so that she knows that I know that she's there. We're going to interact. She doesn't have to be too nervous about it, though, because I'm already right off being gentle. You can see her with that rapid tongue flick. She's a little bit energized, wants to see what's going on, isn't quite sure what to think about this. If I throw my hand in there and she can see it with her heat pits, she can smell it, she can see the movement and everything with her eyes, then she may think, okay, this is like a predator thing or something like that, and be jazzed up all the more. So one thing about snakes is that a lot of their main predators, and they do have plenty of predators, even though people always like to think of pythons as being like apex predators, which they can be as adults. But at this size, I mean, anything with talons is going to love to eat that. A lot of things that are going to go ahead and grab at that snake from above. So coming in and grabbing the way that we would grab an apple that we go eat for breakfast or something is going to be a terrifying kind of emotion towards an animal like this. What you want to do instead is come along as a supportive thing. So arboreal animals always have this kind of inherent fear of falling, right? And so supporting their whole body helps. And so coming up from below instead of from above is going to be a better way to do that. Now, if she's sitting on a flat surface like that, that's going to be difficult to do. But again, if I have an object like a snake hook or something that I can come down from above and begin that interaction, just give her a pet, let her know that I'm coming, and start that interaction a little bit more gently, that's probably going to help. Now let's see what she thinks about all this. I'm going to go ahead and set this down. Woo-hoo. All right. Now this girl is definitely one of our more nervous animals. And you can see it in her body language right now. She's doing that kind of pre-strike S. I don't know if you caught it, but a half a second ago she gave me a little bit of a warning strike. Oh, there's one. Where Thomas is moving over here and she's striking at him. Obviously, Thomas, you're like 3 feet outside of her range and she's not trying to actually connect with you. She's just more trying to intimidate you. Like she's scared, so she's like, you know, like you're gonna go get in a fight with someone. You know, your body language, you start stiffening up. That's what she's doing right now. She's preparing for a fight, and she's kind of throwing her hands around like you might, trying to get somebody to back off because she doesn't actually want to tango with you because she is afraid. So very fearful animal right now. If I was to come down from above on her and try to grab her or something, which is what most people try to do, she's definitely not going to like that. And that's going to put her past, like over the edge of that warning strike. You know, if I don't leave her alone and she's asking me to, I'm basically asking for her to tag me. And that may happen here on the live. We'll find out. So one of the things is, if she's acting like this and getting all energized and jazzed up and I allow myself to do the same thing, she's like, yep, this is a fight. I knew it was coming. But if I can just kind of take a little moment, relax a little bit, and start to work with her in a much calmer manner, I think that that's going to help de-energize or de-escalate the situation here. The other thing is you'll notice a very defensive body posture with her right there. You get a little jump there, Thomas. You can see those warning bites though. She's like not trying to connect with anything at all. She just, you came a little closer and she was like, no, you don't. You back up. And it's kind of funny because she's sitting on my hand and striking at Thomas, who's 3 feet away. But she's sitting on my hand because my hand is being supportive. Now she can see my heat signature. And if I, you know, messed around or turned around or I allowed myself to be directly in front of her with my hand, she might try to take a bite at that. But this is something I learned by watching Caesar, the dog whisperer, a long time ago. He had this really shy dog, which a lot of times they tuck their tail between their legs, right? And they have this very submissive, shy body posture. She's starting to find me instead. So I'm going to put her way up above me so that I'm always below in like a non-threatening way. Not like a predator, but usually a retic up high is the predator. So that kind of helps. But what he did was he tied the dog's tail up and into more of like an alpha or a confident position, and that helped. So let me see if I can do this. She can find this. She wants to get up here. Maybe she wants to escape, right? You got that fight or flight. So if I get her into flight mode, oh, look at that. She's going to grab and defend that little bit of space that she had. Come here, honey. I know. You're so scared. Come here. You're okay. You're okay. Come here. Good girl. But by actually physically moving her body into a less of a defensive position, and remember, staying like very calm, right? Very confident in myself. I can help get her into, she's in like an escape mode, but she's going back and forth there. She's locked in on my eyes there. Your eyes have super high heat signature, by the way. So if you want to be less intimidating, wearing glasses helps a lot. I'm trying to start her off into flight mode by getting her going. And then what I can actually do is just kind of let her run through my hands a little bit, keeping her up high, not restraining her at all. I don't know if you noticed. She may hold on to me. I'm not holding on to her at all. But when she's ready to strike, she'll anchor on this end and go into that big S position up front, right? So what I don't want her to do is have an S position or an anchor on me. So I'm going to take her off there and just let her kind of cruise through my hand. Maybe she's trying to run away, but after a little while of not getting away and still not being hurt, you know, she may actually start to think about this a little bit, like, hey, what's going on here? This doesn't seem so bad. And we can try to calm her down a little bit. Can you guys see this? I'm actually working. Now I'm being very respectful of her head. they're going to be nervous around the head, right? Because if any fatal blow from me is going to land there on the head. So if I can just start a little ways back from her head, if she wants to come and grab onto me with her head coming up from underneath, I'm fine with that. But I'm not going to reach up and touch her on the head until I've earned her trust to be able to do that. So starting from a little bit back behind her head, I can kind of let her, oh, she's getting into a defensive position again. Can you guys see that? She's tightened down on me with a tail, S-hook in the beginning. So if I unravel her tail, look at that. She automatically starts cruising again. I don't want to give her my eye heat signature, so maybe I'll squint because I don't have any glasses. But again, so I tell my kids all the time, even when they have a friendly snake, it's good to be supportive, right? Or a more acclimated snake. So I say, be the tree. And what I mean by that is be supportive and let them kind of cruise through your hand. I don't want to give her like eye-to-eye contact. So you've seen a couple times she's just trying to like come up here, which is fine. You notice I'm squinting to reduce that heat signature off of my head. But I can start to get her calming down just by letting her gracefully slide through my hands, which is pretty cool. Now she's not too defensive around other snakes, so let's see how these two girls get along if we put them up here. She is a beautiful animal, isn't it, this platinum anery? This would be a really fun one to work with. You can tell that she is having a good positive experience right now, but she's just like, I'm not quite so sure. Let's see what happens. So if I go ahead and I just allow her, ending on a positive note is really important too. So if I allow her to get what she wants, which is to go ahead and have some space and back off, then I've just ended a really, what started as, I'm sure you guys could tell, a couple of strikes and things like that, a very defensive, kind of scary interaction. And now it's become something where, you know, as long as I'm not going up towards her head, which I haven't won her trust yet, we'll get there later, you know, we can have a much more positive experience. And let me show you, like, once you have won over their trust, like this 81.25%, the Krispy Kreme girl. Let me see if I can get over here without tangling up with the other one. Come here, baby. This girl is not worried about me at all. She might be looking for food because we tease her all up with those Repti links. But eventually, what I want to do is, as I would win over that animal or any animal's trust, is work towards all parts of their body because, you know, when you have a pet, you may have to one day give them like a health inspection, look them over, touch their face, open their mouth. There's things that you have to clean out sometimes and things like that. So you want them to definitely be trusting of you with all parts of their body from their tail, so which is one of the real sensitive parts, to their head. And I can move like this coming up from underneath and allowing her to, you know, just freely cruise down me. See how I'm getting real close? I'm just up under her chin. But eventually what I may do is kind of, again, from underneath, slide right up around her head and actually restrain her gently and just play with her head like this. And get to the point where I can pet her on the head, boop that snoot. Everyone hates talking about snakes as danger noodles. But I'll tell you what, you can use whatever words you have to if it helps calm you down. If you want to think of them as danger noodles with boopable snoots, and that helps you win over a snake and have a trusting interaction with them, do it. You know, it's really much more about your ability to interact with the animal and put them at ease than whatever adjectives and silly words you want to use. We all use silly words at different times. But yeah, eventually I want to be able to like interact with this animal if I have to, restrain her, you know, maybe even look, I don't know if you guys can see, like I might have to manipulate her lips. See, she don't like that. But if I let her go right now, is she defensive? No. She's not trying to get away. She's not trying to bite. Just hanging out because we have a good relationship. Hey, honey, there's some Repti links over here. She didn't eat them, so if you want them, go for it. Look how cool this anery is with this like camo color. It's almost the same match with the charcoal grays and greens. I love aneries. These are both aneries. The platinum anery, obviously, much lighter, brighter greens. But you can see her there nervously trying to camouflage. She knows she's on camera. So that would be tip number 2. How are we doing, Thomas? We have any questions over there? Any super chats, things like that we want to address before we get into our third and final tip with handling nervous animals? You want to check? Let's see what we got.
Let's see.
What do you guys think?
Eric Blick said, wonder why she's still nervous at her age.
Yeah. I don't know. All I know is that, a couple of people have told me her particular number and that she's really nervous. It could be that she had one bad experience that framed her mind in a less than ideal way, right? And then she's been building off or reinforcing that. What I've also noticed too, I always discourage like our staff from saying, "Oh, that's a mean snake," or "Oh, that's a really bad one," or "Oh, that one will try to bite you." So I hate when they give them nicknames. They'll give them nicknames like, I don't know, Strikey or Finger Biter or whatever the case may be. And what happens is you hear the name and automatically you're like, and you're ready for a fight, and then that snake comes in ready for a fight, and you're constantly negatively reinforcing those interactions. So it could be that something like that has happened. And usually all it takes is a few positive things to win them over. You can think about like the abandoned, neglected, stray dog or something that an owner takes in and dotes and, nurses them back to health, and they have that great tight bond. A lot of animals that start out like that end up being my favorite ones as like kind of pets to interact with, because I've put in the time to earn their trust. It's not just that it was a snake that doesn't care about people, or interaction at all. It's a snake that trusts me, and each other person has to win their trust over likewise. I find that to be really rewarding. So I think you can do it with most animals. Some of the like old wild-caught imports are much more challenging. And if they come in already big, I mean, those kind of interactions were pretty simple to do with her as a youngster, or would be really difficult if she was like a 15-foot import, right? And so a lot of times just the work that needs to be laid for the foundation of a relationship doesn't happen in those circumstances, which is sad, because there's quite a few that have been turned around. It just takes the right person, being willing to give that animal a chance. So, cool. That it? We ready?
One more.
If you guys have any, let us know in a super chat, and we'll stop what we're doing or answer in between here. Otherwise, we'll.
A rusted bone cyborg said, "What do you do when a retic is nervous but will not run?"
Usually the case there is that you've got it cornered or something like that, and it's doing that get back strike. And if you're not getting back and you're not listening to that animal, it won't think about anything else. So there's probably a lot happening there that I wasn't able to explain. But as she was striking at Thomas, a lot of times I'm just pointing her focal point, right? So like their heat pits point forward, their eyes can see forward, they're a predator, right? And I'm pointing that away from myself, and I'm interacting from underneath from a different direction. So sometimes giving them something to be distracted by helps. But if they're saying get back, go ahead and get back. Step back a little bit till they stop striking. Maybe even just sit down. It's kind of nice to have like an empty room sometimes to work with, and just sit down and give the animal enough time to calm down and be curious, or use a longer hook so that you're able to remove yourself how you need to from that animal, but you can still manipulate them if you were in need of cleaning a cage or something like that. So cool. All right, so my third tip is actually something that's a lot more passive. These are both really active things, like here's some food or here's some interaction. So the third tip actually has to do with the kind of setup that you have. This is one of our like grow up, maybe baby to yearling, depending on what bloodline it is and how big it is, setups. This is something new that we're trying out so far. I really enjoy these. With all of our adult enclosures, we have like glass windows that they can see out and see the world and everything, right? But with these ones, like a lot of times in racks or tubs, semi-clear is the best that it gets. So a lot of times when you're pulling an animal out of its environment and thrusting it into another unexpected environment, you're elevating the stress immediately, like right out of the gate. So one of the passive things that you can do with our little babies, we've begun putting them in these ultra clear kind of containers. I don't know if you can get in here a little bit closer, Thomas. After the first part of their lives, all they need is security and eating for those first few meals while they figure out what a captive meal is all about. But then later, you still want to provide the security of hides. So like this one would have a hide down here. It has a sky hide, if you can see. Sorry, this is a little dusty. Let me just pull her out of the rack there. She's got like a sky hide here she can chill in. And then we also, with the babies, will put in like a bunch of plants and stuff in these. Because it is such an exposed cage, they can kind of feel like they can get around through the foliage down there. So if you can see how that looks. But with these ultra clear enclosures, what we've noticed is at first, you throw them in there, they have their acclimation period, they're in the hide all the time. Then usually they like coming out to this like kind of a sky hide or a perch where they can feel camouflaged. A lot of times they'll wrap up around the leaves there and feel camouflaged while watching you. And then later, if you can see her now, she's like, yo, what's going on out here? I want to see what's up. And so because she has access to see the whole room, and with this species in particular, they're very visually oriented. I think that's why we connect with them so well, because we are too. They see us in the room. They know the lights are on. They hear and feel the vibrations of people walking through. They kind of want to come out and see what's going on. And you'll see they're just very curious. And so passively, by giving them that viewing opportunity, you automatically put them in that curious mode, and they can see that you're coming. They can see what's going on. So see her now, she's extending beyond the boundaries of her enclosure, and I'm not forcing her or making her come to me. I could use a Reptilink and try to coax her over here for food if I was trying to get her to approach me. You want them to approach you with curiosity. And that's the point where you can really begin working on a relationship. But sometimes if I just hang here for a while, like I said, she's been seeing everything that we've been doing so far with these other snakes. Look at her. She just wants to say, hey, what's going on? She knows exactly where I'm at. She can definitely see my heat signature. She can smell some alcohol gel and some weird Reptilink smell underneath that, plus any pheromones being given off by the other animal. Fortunately, that platinum anery didn't musk me, because a lot of times that like emergency musk thing or whatever will put the next animal at ease. Did you see me talk with her in hand and she backed up a little bit, but she's back again. So like the curiosity killed the cat thing, right? And so if I can do that and I can come in maybe from underneath, which helps if you have these tall tubs, and have a little bit of a physical interaction with her. Hi, honey. And she can see what's going on. Maybe I can offer myself up as like another hide or another perch for her to pull up on. Come here. You want to come out? I'll give her the opportunity, and she'll either go in reverse and go back in, or she'll continue forward. Let's see. Oh, okay, there we go. We got forward movement. I was feeling her like tensing up, like, am I going to go forward or backward? As soon as she's going forward and she's cruising through the air, now as far as she knows, she's cruising through some perches that are me. And obviously she's not dumb. She's aware that this is me. But now she gets to come out and see what's going on, right? And if her goal is to learn more and be curious about what it's like outside of her cage, this is a little artificial because her cage doesn't reside here. But downstairs, if I allow her to move around with the environment outside of her cage, she'll become increasingly confident once she learns, like here we have our little playground system over here. But once she like learns and is intimately familiar with this playground, if her enclosure was right here and we could open it and let her access a playground like this, kind of like a bird cage with the branches on top, that becomes her perch or her security blanket. It's a part of her territory from which she can view and experience the world. So we'll allow these three to kind of cruise. I got a couple of Reptilinks up there. Maybe they'll find them, maybe they won't, or maybe they'll find them and not care. But yeah, let's get back to the Superdor show. So hopefully you guys enjoyed that. If you have any other questions, let us know. Relationship building builds a powerful thirst. What'd you think about that, Thomas? That was fun.
Yeah, it was entertaining.
We didn't get to watch I'll tell you a secret. In the 90s, this would totally not be okay today. But I had, I'll tell you what I do that or have done that was stupid at some point in time. I used to do a lot of educational programs and stuff, and I had this large carpet python that would only eat mice. It never wanted to eat rats. It probably should have eaten 1 or 2 jumbo rats, something like that, as a regular meal, but instead it would eat like a dozen mice. What I figured out was really cool was that carpet python was very agile and really good, as long as the meals were hot, at catching them mid-air. And so I would do these educational programs with kids, like in a library or something. It'd be 30 or 40 kids. And I would give them frozen thawed, like in hot water, little mice. And they would grab them by the tail. I'd let them put little gloves on and stuff. And they'd throw them across the room. And the snake would catch them mid-air and then swallow them, doing the arboreal thing where they go underneath and, eat upwards with gravity and all that kind of stuff. And then I would talk about, just the process of how a snake actually swallows meals whole and things like that. It was always a lot of fun. So.
Got a super chat from Let's Talk Herps. What's up, Steven?
How's it going?
Is that perch/ceiling hide 3D printed, or is that something else you've repurposed in a crappy chic motif?
Oh, it's totally crappy chic. I'll show you. The snake's not in there. They have some really cool 3D printed versions of these, but no, ours. We're not nice to things. So we can't have nice things
except
around
our
here.
Snakes, dude.
We use cheap stuff. Well, yeah, snakes are super expensive. Everything else is cheap. Anything dealing with the snakes is expensive. So all this is kind of a standard hide, and it's wedged in between. This is, we build our own PVC cages here. So a lot of times we have scraps. So all that is a little strip of scrap PVC. I've notched the corners so they fit in the corners of those Cambro tubs. And again, we have a whole video coming out on this system for the snakes. And then we'll wrap a couple vines around there, and we zip tie them on so they can slide right off, so that they're very easy to sanitize, and they slide right back on. So all it is one stick of PVC with another one at a 90, and they're cut at the right angle that this sets inside there, and it holds it on 2 sides, and the third corner is propped up with the tub itself. So yeah, put together with 2 screws. Very simply done. The 3D printed ones are cool. They give you an infinite ability to play with different perches. You could put water bowl hiders in there, or have like flat shelf area and stuff like that. We just went with these because we go through a lot of them, and we wanted to be able to drop them in there real quick. They hold our sky hides for us, which a lot of times, this one just has wet paper, but a lot of times we'll do like a humid hide or a loose substrate in one of those. And it also helps my bushiness for privacy. So kind of holds all that stuff up. So simple but effective. That's usually the way we do things. It's a much more, I guess, commercial way.
Yep. Cool.
The 3D printed ones are pretty though.
Yeah. If you guys have any more questions about any of what we talked about in the last 30 minutes or so, go ahead and super chat or just chat away, and we'll answer some of those questions. But in the meantime, I guess in a minute, we're going to show you a really cool way that you can buy into a really high-level locality collection. But we'll tell you a little bit more about that in a minute. But have you guys been?
This was a fun one. You guys having fun? This felt like one of our Patreon meetings. We're just kind of hanging out in the studio with the animals and stuff.
It's a workout for me, dude. I have. You guys can't see, but I'm like repositioning a mic.
Getting struck at by snakes.
Oh, that's the easy part. I just keep my camera between me and the snake.
There you go. They are super curious about your camera. They always love it. I don't know if it has like
it gives
such a
off
weird
a heat signature.
Yeah, it's probably like a very alien-looking heat signature to them. So yeah, pretty cool. Yeah. Okay. So you're talking about the BYOB thing.
Yeah, but first. Do any of these announcements matter? We got some Clutch Files videos coming your way that are pretty cool.
Yeah, you guys like those Clutch Files, like a deep dive into why we did a particular breeding and what came out of it, sort of a reality from a breeder's perspective. Those are pretty fun. So you'll have to subscribe and stay tuned for those.
We got some real cool ones coming up. So please stay tuned for that. Make sure your notifications are turned on for that. You guys may have seen where we definitely amped back the vlog, like longer vlogs that we're putting out on Wild World TV, just to kind of recoup and refocus. But we have a ton of fun shorts on there. So make sure you go check that stuff out. We do
The
have some
highlight
videos.
reels from that channel are awesome. It's
Oh,
like
they're
the
fun.
story of our lives for the last couple of years, like all in 30-second clips.
Yeah, if you
pretty
guys
cool.
haven't seen that, it's some binge-worthy content for sure. Oz says they love the clutch files. We love them too.
It's very like snake nerdy content, but beautiful. I mean, Thomas does a great job, right? Am I right? Give him a
does
thumbs
do a
up
good
in
job.
the on the video there if you like Thomas's
Oh, you got
filming
me
on
blushing.
there. You got nice music. You got all the like cinematic shots of the animals. So you can really see all the subtle color tones. What was
mean-
that super? Oh, it's the Snow Moschino clutch that you were like, whoa, look at these snakes.
I can't get over how orange one of those snakes is.
What clutch was that? Do you remember?
Clutch. Crap. It's either 9 or 11.
I think it's clutch 11. You guys will have to watch the clutch files for clutch 11 and see.
It feels like my favorite video
on,
to
I'll tell
make,
you
which
here.
is the morph spotlight or locality spotlight. You don't get to put those out very often because obviously there's not. It's not like localities and morphs are just like, oh, here's a new one, you know. So it's kind of a new way to like show off some snakes, get to know some history without having to like.
We do still have quite a few of those that we need to do, but I got to breed
Yeah,
the
dude,
snakes
you need to
first,
breed some more
so
Tombolongans, man.
That's, yeah. Do you guys agree? Should we breed Tombolongas around here or not? It's not like we haven't been trying. It's clutch 11.
Yeah, jeez, dude.
Yep. Clutch 11 was the one that you liked. So you guys will have to stick around for that. That'll be pretty cool. So,
Also,
yeah.
well, I was gonna say Retic Fest is coming up, but I think we already touched on that. Let's not draw the suspense out any longer. Yob, buy
Yob.
your own.
Bring your
bacon.
own breeder mail. So if you guys are on Morph Market, you might have seen this. We put this up. This was something that was a lot of fun for me to do back when I was the sales guy out at the Reptile Zoo in Southern California. And so one of the things that was it was my favorite thing to do is like if I couldn't be spending money on retics myself for any given reason, which there weren't very many reasons, I usually was spending money myself. But if other people came and they go, hey, I have this budget and this is what I want to do. That was my favorite question because I was like, I have cages and cages full of baby snakes that are just getting established, that are ready to go into their brand new homes with big, cool enclosures, and maybe that can be you, you know, or paired up in the right breeding situation, all this stuff. So I just wanted to have some fun with that. I think maybe I was missing the old days or whatever it is. One of the things that we've been changing around here, you'll see some changes to the footprint of the snake room downstairs. I'll say that. Is we're trying to shoot for some, I don't know, finish off some goals that we've done. So we've done a lot of breedings where people are like, hey, can you make me this? Hey, can you make me this? And it's usually stuff like, you know, I just want kind of a smaller-ish retic at a cheap price with pretty colors, right? But I have some visions for something more, and I bet a lot of you guys, given the chance, would be able to develop some pretty cool visions in this industry of your own. So if you remember, we're talking about the status of the super dwarf market right now, community, call it whatever you want, is that we've kind of made a lot of things available that never were before, whether they're morphs or localities. And now it's sort of like, now that all the ingredients to your dreams are available, what will you make with them, right? And so as a part of like rearranging the downstairs, moving things around, we need to make some space around here. You probably heard me say that we would be considering letting some, you know, older animals go, yearlings, 2-year-olds, maybe even an adult breeder or two. But in phase 2, if this was the Marvel universe, people have goals and directions for either they want to like collect a bunch of cool localities, or they want to run their own favorite morphs into those different localities and see that the breadth of flavor. So we put together these are 3 of my personal holdback females from 3 years ago. So 2020 was the year, some of you guys might remember, where we bred 5 out of the 7 localities. Do you have the pictures that you can throw
I'm
up?
finding the picture right now.
That's a good idea. We bred 5 of the 7 localities that I set out to work with all in 1 year. And I cherry picked my favorites. And I was going to put up some of my favorite holdback females. You can see how different they look in their locality influence. And these are like young adult females. They're all virgin females. They haven't been bred. They're 3 years old. And if you just had like one cool morph mainland male that you wanted to run to these, you could literally make hets to that cool morph or start a dwarf or a super dwarf project with each of these females, dwarf and super dwarf, depending on how you look at it, with these girls, just with that one male. Or they would be setting you light years ahead in collecting pure localities. And until you found males to patch them up with, they have some pretty cool significant looks. So you want to show us what these girls are? So the idea is bring your own breeder male. I will give you 3 different pure locality, almost breeder females in one package deal. These are females I usually wouldn't let go independently, but if someone wanted to pick all 3 up at once and make their dreams come true, I would love to see what direction you would take them, because I can almost guarantee that it would be different from whatever I would do. So let's see what we got here, Thomas. What are the animals? Can you throw them up on the screen? Okay. Can I see?
You can already. You've been able to see it.
I can't.
Oh my gosh!
All 3 of them are up there.
All 3 of them are up there.
So one of the fun things was when I hatched these, we got a lot of criticism actually, where everyone's like, "Those just look like little brown snakes. They all look the same," or "That doesn't look like that pure locality that I remember." And my thought was, how many of these pure localities have you ever actually bred and produced? Retics are one of these ones that basically do hatch out like a little brown and black snake in most cases, and then they grow into their color, so the opposite of what you would see from, say, a ball python or a boa. But now that they're all 3 years old, you can really see. So up top, we've got probably one of my favorite localities, a Jampea, and these ones are 100% head anery. You would think she was a visual anery to look at her. She's gorgeous, and so super rare to be able to have a pure locality animal with a morph in it, and know that it's 100% het, like legitimately. Her mom was a proven female anery jam. So that's that one. Now, Coyote is probably the locality that most superficially resembles Jampeas, but they're known, instead of those like slate charcoal grays that the Jamps have, they have these like deep reddish orangey browns and thicker blacks that a lot of times zigzag out. And so those are really cool for any color lightening and brightening genes. It just amplifies it like crazy. And then you have a Slayer girl here too, which at 3 years old now you can see her developing that thick, chunky yellow head. Looks like a little bulldog or something. And Slayer brings kind of the best of both worlds, the dark and the light on the same snake. They're just set up with so much contrast to pop. I mean, Thomas, you remember those Tiger Slayers that we hatched and the Sunfire Slayers this year? We did quite a few actually, Slayer combos, which is pretty cool. They look good, right, Thomas?
Yeah, as I shake my head.
I totally remember it.
See, a lot of the times she'll be like, yeah, you remember that so-and-so, and then won't even wait for confirmation. She'll be like, yeah.
Thomas doesn't remember. So apparently I'm not able to use these animals to make anything memorable. Let's see what you guys can do better. Anyway, that was pretty fun. Stay tuned. I think that'll be the first of many. And if any of you guys want to ever have that conversation with me, that would be great. Actually, if you do it this week, G.I. Joe, our sales guy, is on vacation. So if you reach out to us, you will actually get a hold of me for those conversations. So I would love to have one of those. Here's how much money I have. This is what I want to accomplish. What's the best way to do that? That's always been, I think, my favorite part of, the sales side of this job. I mean, I love the animals, and just the interactions and stuff with them. But as far as the customer service side is just going through and, because a lot of times people, they do it backwards, right? They're like, what ads did you make to animals that I can pick, right? And then they shop through those. But for every one animal that you saw the ad of, there might be 50 others here that have a lot of cool potential that, sometimes it's like all you have to do is ask, right? So call, ask. If you do it this week, it'll be me. Next week, it'll be Joe.
Do it. For a limited time only, if you call the sales line, you will get Garrett.
Well,
take
then
that
the other thing
information
is, it's not like
as
I
you
have
will.
whole clutches of these. These are 3-year-old old back animals. So once they're sold, they're sold. I know I have a couple people interested. This announcement might be already a little bit late. But, hey, nobody has any money down on them yet. So,
All right.
cool. Go to town.
We got to
Have
name a
fun with it.
snake.
Yeah, well, I think we should name the one. So the Platinum Anery girl that we had out earlier doesn't have a name. Should we go see how she's doing over there? We got
Yeah, you should go grab her.
We should go bring her back over here?
Mm-hmm.
I can. How's the snake naming work, Thomas?
Snake naming works. Well, we show you a snake, and then you guys get to name it, and that's about it. Not very complex. So we're gonna show the snake off. I'm sure you guys remember it from earlier, but we're gonna. Oh, he almost got bit in the face. But you guys are gonna throw your name suggestions out there. I'm gonna read them off. Garrett will pick one at random that feels right.
All that positive interaction gone to waste because I'm like, here, you have to sit in front of camera now. Should have turned the camera. Here she
All right,
is.
guys.
She is beautiful. This is actually, so while you guys are chatting those name suggestions, it's a female. She's a yearling. And this is actually from my favorite clutch last year, which was, if you guys follow those hashtags and bloodlines and stuff, this is CL22009. And so she was from a beautiful platinum motley anery het purple female bred to a pure Superdorf male that was 75% Madu, 25% Kalatoa, and anery. So we got the platinum aneries and we got motleys and stuff out of there. But with that Madu locality influence, she's just so light and bright and beautiful. The greens and blues on her are, just even at only a yearling, are really stunning. Look how cute she
All right,
is.
you ready for some
She's all
names?
hunkered in and camouflaged on my hand.
I think we got some good ones.
Yeah, now remember, I don't want any face biter or striker or scary names that are going to make people go, we need some calming, soothing, soft sounding names. Because if her name was like Snickerdoodles or, Twinkie fairy tale unicorn girl or something like that, nobody could be afraid of her.
I think
right?
you'll like this one. I'm reading this one out
Read
of
them
order.
all off and let's hear it.
I'm reading this one starting from the top. Squish Muffin.
Squish Muffin.
Okay,
That's
so we got
funny.
Squish Muffin, Girlfriend, Celia, Bashful, Cheese. I don't think this is a name suggestion, but I like it. Ooh. Arwen. Tinsel? I don't know why that word's hard to say. Boss, Cheddar, Spice Girl, Popcorn, Haven, Excella, Phoebe, Velveeta. Then we get back to Squish Muffin, Velveeta, Persnickety, Vixen, Mix-a-Lot, Swiss, Mellow.
Don't we have a Squish Muffin already?
I don't
Feel like
know.
we must.
Current, Fluffy, Peridot or Perido.
We may have to go with Squish Muffin. That's pretty good. I feel like we've had one before. There's a history to that name, Squish Muffin.
You wanna
I don't
know
if
who
we
it
have any
was?
In the shop. Is it my wife?
Who was your wife?
Yeah. Yeah. Sorry, guys. You got to get trumped when my wife jumps in twice, says we need to name her Squish Muffin. That was one of my nicknames for Ashley when we were dating.
Yeah. Wow,
She
way
was
to
really
make
mad
everyone
because I made her
uncomfortable.
sleep with the muffins and guard them from the bears, and she didn't want to. So she squished them and threw them off a cliff, and then none of us had breakfast. So we called her Squish Muffin.
Is that a real story?
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of the gist of it. Ashley, do you have a different version of that story? But, yeah, Squish Muffin. So is it Squish Muffin because she's cute but has a bad attitude? Is that why, Ashley? Or am I just digging myself a deeper hole here? Live? Maybe we should cut the stream.
All right, guys. Well, we are giving away $250 of store credit on the after party, so make sure you show up there. If there's no link,
Jump on
I'll
Reach
post
Out
the link.
Reptiles Patreon. Join for $5 and jump in the meeting. It'll be in one of the posts, right? It's a Zoom meeting. If you guys
Ashley
are there,
does
you can
not
win.
have any different story.
There you go.
Said-
Admittedly, it. True
Well,
story.
guys, thanks for stopping by.
Hey, hopefully we're able to help you guys with some of your interactions with your snakes. I mean, there's a lot of different ways to do that. You can kind of take it with a grain of salt. The idea is learning how your animal is thinking about you so that you can approach them in a way that is mutually beneficial. keep trying out there, guys. Thanks for stopping by. Hopefully you're able to learn something, and